Hey YouTube, it's Eric. In this video, I'm just going to be sharing with you guys. I was in the library a few hours ago, and I was scanning in this book here into a PDF. This is the American Pope Life and Times of Cardinal Spellman. In previous videos, I've read material. I've read information out of this book in previous videos. It's a very good book. This was I know there was a few like quote unquote official biographies on Cardinal Spellman that which were like fluff pieces. You know, they were promoting him as like a patriot, you know, someone like godly, you know, individual. Which you know wasn't true. This was like a more objective, a very objective biography of Francis Spellman, and it's fully illustrated. And I saw that there's no other PDFs like the other PDFs of this book. You have to borrow them on archive.org, but I'm going to show you. I uploaded it so you can read it for free. It's a very good book. It was written in 1984 by John Cooney, who I think is an Irish journalist. Here, this is the book here, The American Pope. This is like a very good book. Cardinal Spellman was as plugged in as you can get, and this book has tons of information on Cardinal Spellman. Like I'll show you, like on page 161, you'll see that Cardinal Spellman like was very close with George Marshall while Marshall was drafting the Marshall Plan. Spellman was meeting with him on hours at end. This book's illustrated too. There's some really interesting photos of Spellman. In terms of if you watch the video on my channel of E. Howard Hunt's interview, the former CIA official, who said the Jesuits are the greatest intelligence service in the world. E. Howard Hunt says that like, the CIA used Cardinal Spellman to contact the Archbishop Ariano in Guatemala, and then the CIA used a pastoral letter. They airlifted a pastoral letter that was ghost written by Spellman all around Guatemala, telling them to rebel against the Arbenz government. And there's lots of information on the Guatemala coup in this book too. Also, there's lots of good information on Spellman's warmongering in Vietnam, and there's some interesting photos right here. Um, See, there's two photos. Actually, there's a photo of Spellman and FDR. You see, Spellman and FDR were very close. There's Spellman and Pacelli. This book's called The American Pope because Spellman was. There was talk back in the day of Spellman actually becoming a pope because that's how powerful he was. There was also talk about Spellman becoming a Secretary of State. There's now like an Archbishop Spellman High School in New York. I know Spellman oversaw the construction of the mass murdering psychopath uh, Stepniak, the Croatian bishop, who oversaw the Ustashi massacres. There's a Archbishop Stepniak High School, I think, in New York now, and that was overseen by Spellman and the Knights of Columbus. There's Spellman here with J. Edgar Hoover and Knight of Malta, James A. Farley. There's some interesting photos. Actually, in my library, I uploaded the autobiography of this James A. Farley right here. He was the head of the DNC when Roosevelt was elected, and then became the chairman of Coca-Cola International. And James A. Farley, on like the third page of his book, which you can read now, like on my library page, Farley says that he firmly believes that it's up to the victors to write history. The victors to write history. There's there's Joe McCarthy. This book has information on how Spellman was close with McCarthy. There's Spellman was like the vicar of the U.S. Armed Forces as well. There he is there as the vicar. Lots of interesting information. I'm just gonna show you the pictures of the him with the dictators. Yeah, there's Spellman with the Anastoso Somoza right there, and there he is with Nagodian Dem right here. There's Dem bowing down to him. This is a very good book, so you can read it for free now. And I also found just the FBI released their files on Cardinal Francis Spellman. I linked this in the description, but a lot of it's redacted, but there's some decent amount of information in here. There's 5 different PDFs full of FBI files, and then I'm gonna upload to my library soon the book I have, the FBI and the Catholic Church, and there's lots of information on Spellman and that as well. But even in this book here, The American Pope, there's a decent amount of information on Spellman's ties to the FBI and the CIA. Quite a bit of information actually. And speaking on in terms of Antonio Somoza, if you want to read a good book on like U.S. corporate, like the U.S. corporate tentacles using evangelical missionaries, in particular the Summer Institute of Linguistics, headed up by William Cameron Townsend, and the clergy was involved with this too. But this is a good book here to see how like the corporate machine like has like conquered Latin America. There's lots of information here as well on Vietnam. This is like almost like a textbook, like operation information on Operation Phoenix, and all the whole Vietnam War really is covered. And like it's covered how all of John F. Kennedy's like economic proposals like were then reversed when Lyndon Johnson became president. Lyndon Johnson trained at Georgetown. That's an interesting book there. I just want to let you guys know that I put the American Pope up on my blog. And interestingly, I found this book on libgen.io. This was like this came out in 2016. This is really interesting. This is called The Jesuits and Globalization. This was published by Georgetown University. Even like the title page of the book, I think is very symbolic. It's like the Jesuit IHS is like conquering the globe. This book, this is like a traditional like apologist book of the Jesuit order, but there's some very intriguing quotes. Like this, that this book, the Jesuit authors say that the Jesuits were strictly behind Pius IX's syllabus of errors. Like the most tyrannical document ever drafted. Interestingly, like like this was like a day or two before for Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated that kicked off World War I. Like there was a group of like a ton of Jesuits got together to celebrate like the bicentennial. Um, it was some centennial celebration that the Jesuits had, but that celebration occurred like 2 or 3 days before Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated. That was interesting. This book also covers like the modern progress of Jesuit the education system. Like it covers how in India right now there's over like 125 Jesuit schools. It covered. I think that this book sourced out between Canada and the United States. There's like 79 Jesuit secondary schools alone. That's not counting colleges. So it's an interesting read, for sure. But it's written by the Jesuits. There's like 7 or 8 different authors that contribute to it. It's like 300 pages. But yeah, I recommend you check out all the books that I've put up here so far. I've been kind of I have a lot of these books in physical copies, but I'm putting like out all like the stuff I've read out on this page, so you guys can all read what I've read. Hitler's Pope. I just read this book recently. This was really good by John Cornwell. Pretty sure this was even like a bestseller. They said it was a bestseller. This one was a really good book. Surprised me how like John Cornwell was pretty fierce. I've seen an interview with John Cornwell. I think it was on CBC, the Canadian radio station, or the Canadian news channel. This was like in 2006, and like Cornwell was like compared to how like how hard he attacks the Vatican in the book, like he was pretty soft in that interview. But actually, this book here, The Fabian Freeway: The High Road to Socialism, is a quote in here that's uh, but George Bernard Shaw said that he wanted the Fabian Socialists to be the Jesuits of socialism. That's sourced in here. It's a very interesting book. This book here, The Plot to Seize the White House, is all about the General Smedley Butler business plot. If you haven't read The Secret Instructions of the Jesuits, this is an interesting like manual here. This book was discovered in like 1615. Very very interesting information. Um, Yes, I recommend you check these all out here. And yeah, this was really I copped this. I did like a PDF printout on this journal website here, but this was called The Philosophy of Democracy Under God, C.D. Jackson, Henry Luce, and the Pro-Dio Movement. This was translated from French into English. It's like 19 pages. It's very, very interesting information. Um, yeah, I think all this stuff I think will interest you guys, and it all like, blends in together nice. But I just want to let you know this is a really good book here. I would say this book here, The American Pope, is almost like a must-read book in terms of like this field of research, because of just how prominent Cardinal Francis Spellman was, and he played a pivotal role in dictating U.S. domestic and foreign policy. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there, guys. Peace and love, Namnast, and yeah, I'm gonna be going through these too, but check out these. The FBI declassified their files or some of their files on the Cardinal. So check those out. But yeah, that's all YouTube. Peace and love. Namaste.